Bonjour, my darlings. I am the author of Nightmares, Seeking the Ears of the Brave. Sit by candlelight and listen as I, Madame Nova, weaves a tale of mystery and darkness. The eyes that shouldn't see. It started with a single spot on his forearm. Jacob thought it was a mole at first, small and round, no different from the others dotting his skin. But over the next few days, it grew, bulging outward, the skin stretching unnaturally. Then, one morning, he woke up, and the spot had opened. It was an eye. It blinked. Jacob stared at it in horror, the eye on his arm staring back. He poked it cautiously. It twitched, the pupil darting around as though scanning the room. His stomach churned, but he convinced himself it was some kind of bizarre infection. A nightmare he couldn't wake from. By the time he worked up the courage to see a doctor, the second eye had appeared. On his left shoulder, within a week, his body was riddled with them. Eyes sprouted on his back, his legs, even the soles of his feet. Each eye was unique, different shapes, colours and sizes. Some were bloodshot, others crystal clear, their clarity unsettling. Jacob wore long sleeves and sunglasses, desperate to hide his condition. The doctors were baffled, prescribing tests, biopsies and specialists, none of which provided answers. But the worst part wasn't their confusion. The worst part was what the eyes saw. They didn't see the world as he did. They showed him flashes of impossible things. Shadowy figures writhing in the corners of his vision, towering spires rising from barren wastelands, and faces that didn't belong to anyone he'd ever met, faces distorted by malice and despair. At night, the visions were stronger. The eyes on his body wouldn't close, no matter how tightly he shut his own. They stared at the ceiling, the walls, the darkness, as whispers filled his ears. "You're watching?" the voices hissed. "But soon they'll watch you." Jacob stopped leaving his apartment. He couldn't bear the stares of strangers, or worse, the way some people seemed to vanish entirely when the extra eyes focused on them. He spent his days wrapped in blankets, trying to keep the eyes covered, but they burned against the fabric, desperate to see. One night, he stood in front of the mirror, trembling as he lifted his shirt. His chest was a mass of blinking, unblinking, darting eyes. They all focused on his reflection, and for the first time, he saw something else looking back. A figure loomed behind him, dark and shapeless, its presence suffocating. When he spun around, the room was empty, but in the mirror, the thing moved closer. "What do you want from me?" Jacob screamed. The figure tilted its head, its featureless form somehow mocking. "You see?" it whispered, its voice like wind scraping against glass. "But you don't understand." Jacob's body became a prison of sight. He saw through hundreds of lenses at once, each one revealing fragments of a reality his mind couldn't comprehend. Time became meaningless. The whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony that drowned out his thoughts. And then, one day, the eyes began to close. It wasn't relief. It was dread. With each eyelid that sealed shut, Jacob felt himself slipping away, as though the eyes had been tethering him to existence. He tried to keep them open, prying at his skin, but it was no use. The last eye to close was his own. When the paramedics found his body weeks later, his apartment was filled with mirrors, every wall, every surface reflecting emptiness. The cause of death was unknown, his body untouched, but the investigators swore they felt something watching them. Even now, the neighbours claim they see movement in the windows at night. Shadows flicker past, and if you get too close, you might hear the faintest sound. A single whisper. "You're next." Thank you for joining me in this little corner of storytelling darkness. If any of my tales manage to amuse, unsettle, or make you question your life choices, feel free to like and subscribe. It's not like the Void Minds Company, or does it?